Ladies and gentlemen, great to see you once again. I believe that people have not really understood what these GST cuts are all about. The problem in our country is that everybody is looking at the GST cuts in a very boxed way, in a very narrow way. Economists are looking at it in terms of economics, boost in consumption, macroeconomic data. They are throwing data around. How much will be the fiscal deficit impact, this, that, traditional thinking. Market people are looking at it in terms of stock markets. Then there are all these corporate types who are talking about it in terms of impact on sectors. You know, what happens to auto, what happens to FMCG, what happens to air conditioners. There's nothing wrong in looking at it that way. But in doing so, in looking at the GST cuts from a narrow perspective, you are not looking at the big picture. And the big picture is completely different. When I look at a big event like this, I look at two things. I look at intent and impact, the two I's, ladies and gentlemen. Intent and impact. And it is because I look at intent and impact, I was one of the only journalists in the country openly came out and supported the Prime Minister on demonetization. Because I saw the intent of the Prime Minister to reduce corruption, to increase compliance, to build a digital economy. All the other channels, what they did at that time was that they told you the negative picture. I told you about intent and impact. And therefore, if you're watching this tonight, I will surprise you by saying that if you want to understand the true intent behind the GST reform, you have to look at what the government of India is doing regarding the removal of online gaming, regarding the concerted counter-attack on illegal online betting. Now you may say, what does that have to do with GST? Look at the intent. There is an ongoing battle against online gaming, and there is an ongoing battle against online betting. 41,000 crores, conservative estimates, was used on online gaming via UPI in April to July this year. This is an amount that is as much as the amount spent on drugstores and pharmacies. What I'm trying to tell you is, ladies and gentlemen, if this was to continue to be the trend, Indians would be spending billions, maybe $10 billion by 2027, 2028 on online gaming. What does a person who does online gaming do? All they do is lose money, and some rich person funded by a venture capitalist has to do is create an algorithm to fool the person who does online gaming. Then they lose the money, but the person who owns the online gaming company will get foreign investment. The FIIs will take the company public, money will be taken abroad, the people of the country will be losing, the youth of the country will be misled, and all the youth of the country will do is waste money in unproductive activity. Now again you may ask, this is all right, Arnab, it's true, but what does it have to do with GST? To draw that link of intent and impact, look at how the government has decided where the GST should be high: sinful goods, cigarettes, tobacco, gutka, carbonated drinks, soda, and where the GST has been brought down spectacularly. Spectacularly, food, hair oil, soap, toothpaste, tableware, household items, 5%. The government saying spend on televisions, you deserve to have a better life. Spend that 2,000 rupees extra to buy a better TV. Don't waste the money in online betting. Don't let the young folk in your family get addicted to online gaming. So the same intent, ladies and gentlemen, if you bought a health policy for 20,000 rupees a year, you had to pay about 3,600 rupees extra as GST. If that benefit is passed on, you save now 3,600 per year. It is estimated that an average Indian family, average middle-class Indian family will save 50,000 rupees a year. That's a lot of money. 50,000 rupees more in cash. And parallel to this, and that's why I want you to connect the dots. Parallel to this, there's a huge attack on all this online gaming. Whether it's gaming or not, I don't know. There's a huge counter-attack on online betting, which is worse. You had this cricketer, Shikhar Dhawan, who was being interrogated today. The problem is that these online betting companies know you need to get some Bollywood-type star, a cricket star, pay them lots of money, crores of rupees, to mislead the people of India and encourage them via betting apps to induce the youth of the country to get addicted to this online nonsense. The Prime Minister of India is thinking differently. The Prime Minister is saying, how do I build a Viksit Bharat? If the money of the people of the country is not spent on constructive resources, productive resources, real estate, buying cement, the GST changes. They bring the benefit of construction and real estate sector. They lower GST on cement from 28 to 18%, sand and bricks from 12 to 5%. You want to build a house, you're building a house, it's going to cost you less now. Plus, if there's anyone around you in your family who's wasting money on tobacco, on gutka, and on online betting, they will find it difficult to do so right now. Of course, social factors also matter. Those who are addicts will remain addicts, but the Prime Minister is giving an incentive. You see, viewers, the general view of classical liberalism is that one must keep social issues separated from economic issues. That is traditional thinking, but it does not work like that. This government, our government, is telling you not just how to spend the money, but where not to spend the money. The Prime Minister wants you to spend money on food, on refrigerators, on durables, on appliances. And he wants you to be compliant on leather goods. The Prime Minister wants you to focus on handicrafts and give a boost to the cultural heritage of the country. The Prime Minister wants you, ladies and gentlemen, to spend on mortar, granite, marble, bricks. The Prime Minister wants you to build and construct. And imagine the current market size of Indian real estate is 24 lakh crores. What if this becomes 2 trillion in 10 years from now? And at the same time, the Prime Minister, wherever he's going, is saying, I don't care where the money has come from. It must be made in India. So he's putting a strong Swadeshi touch to it. He's saying that put things together, build the country. You see, viewers, I believe the Prime Minister of India is a very deep thinker. And what makes him apart from other leaders and any other leaders is his lived experience of the country. The Prime Minister has not just given us an extraordinary stimulus package. The Prime Minister has understood global geopolitics, understood that there is a challenge from the United States of America and said, I need to give the country a stimulus to spend. I need to give the corporate sector something to be excited about so that they can manufacture in India. I need to create the geopolitical environment where I will do business with anyone who works in my country's interest. China, Russia, any country, but as long as it is not against my national interest. And I will ensure that where there are large swathes of money being wasted on things like online gaming and online betting, I will stop that addiction the best I can. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, if you have to understand what has happened last night, you must understand it in terms of the bigger picture. This is not an economic stimulus. It's not just an economic stimulus. It is, of course. It is much more. It is the Prime Minister of India telling you, put your nation first. Let's fight back through productivity. Let's fight back through confidence. And let's do everything possible that we can, not to fight America, but to claim our rightful place in the world. Let's debate.
इस दिवाली में आपकी डबल दिवाली का काम मैं करने वाला हूं। इस दिवाली में आपको एक बहुत बड़ा तोहफा देशवासियों को मिलने वाला है। हम नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जीएसटी रिफॉर्म्स लेकर के आ रहे हैं। ये दिवाली के अंदर आपके लिए तोहफा बन जाएंगे।
The Honorable Prime Minister.
The GST Council has delivered on Prime Minister Modi's promised Diwali bonanza.
Reforms have been carried out. with a focus on the common man.
In fact, the Diwali bonanza is ahead of its time.
All this will be effective 22nd September 2025, which is the first day of Navaratri. The changes in GST rates of all goods except for pan masala, gutka, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, BD, will be implemented with effect from 22nd September 25.
The life of the common man is about to change this year for the second time, as after the direct tax reforms in February, GST is seeing a major pro-people overhaul.
Every tax levied on common man's daily use items have gone through a rigorous looking into, and in most cases the rates have come down drastically.
The goods and service tax has now further become a good and simpler tax.
Common man and middle class items may there is a complete reduction. Reduction from 18 or from 12 to 5%.
Much awaited changes by the common man have now finally been implemented.
Exemption of GST on all individual life insurance policies, whether term life, ULIP or endowment policies, and reinsurance thereof, to make insurance affordable for common man and increase the insurance coverage in the country.
For many, GST reforms have come as a lifesaver.
33 life-saving drugs and medicines, and they all come down from 12 to 0. From 5 to 0 and 3 life-saving drugs and medicines used for treatment of cancer, rare diseases, and other severe chronic diseases. There are several drugs and medicines coming down to 5 from 12.
And for the middle class, the new slabs are a complete game changer.
फूड आइटम्स बहुत सारे हैं, नमकीन से भुजिया है, सॉसेस है, पास्ता है, इंस्टेंट नूडल्स है, चॉकलेट्स, कॉफ़ी, प्रिजर्व्ड मीट, कॉर्नफ्लेक्स, बटर, घी, ये सब 5% में आ रही है. फिर रिडक्शन फ्रॉम 28 to 18%. इसमें मिडिल क्लास के एस्पिरेशंस मीट करने वाले बहुत सारे चीज़ हैं. एयर कंडीशनिंग मशीन्स, TVs which are over 32 inches, all TVs now at 18%. I want to underline, all TVs are now at 18%. Dishwashing machines, small cars, motorcycles equal to or less than 350 cc are all now coming to 18. From 28 to 18%. On small cars and motorcycles which are equal to or below 350 cc.
Along with these reforms, the government also drew a new line for luxury sin goods, introducing a new 40% rate.
There is a special rate which is 40%. Actually, almost all goods are between 18 and 5. If there's any change, they only can shuffle between the 18 and 5. There is one special rate which is only for sin and super luxury goods. That special rate of 40% has also been proposed and it's cleared. That will apply only to pan masala, cigarettes, gutka, and other tobacco products such as chewing tobacco, products like zarda, unmanufactured tobacco, and BD. All goods including aerated waters containing added sugar or other sweetening matter or flavored, caffeinated beverages, carbonated beverages or fruit drink, or carbonated beverages with fruit juice and other non-alcoholic beverages, excluding those specified at lower rates, will all be covered under 40%.
These reforms come with many implications, but the government is prepared to take them on.
We have estimated a figure. We expect that the net fiscal implication, we would not call it as a revenue loss because that doesn't seem to be the correct terminology. But net revenue implication of this proposal is expected, we have estimated it to be around 48,000 crores.
The government is bullish on the impact.
मैंने देशवासियों से भी ये वादा किया था कि इस दिवाली और छठ पूजा से पहले खुशियों का डबल धमाका होगा। नवरात्रि के इस प्रथम दिवस पर जीएसटी का जो एक रिफॉर्म वर्जन है, नेक्स्ट जनरेशन रिफॉर्म किया हुआ, वो लागू हो जाएगा।
With the festive season around the corner and Trump's tariff tirade looming over, the next-gen GST reforms are all set to boost India's consumption economy as it continues its march towards becoming the third largest economy in the world.
And ladies and gentlemen, I have a very high-powered and very experienced panel with me tonight. We have Sanjeev Sanyal, who's from the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. We have the great Dinesh Kanabar. You know, he's founder and CEO of Dhruva Advisors. I consider him perhaps the greatest tax entrepreneur in this country and leads a fantastic company, Dhruva Advisors. Everybody in India knows and respects it. We have Ajay Bagga, the renowned market expert, but I also consider Ajay one of the best macroeconomic voices in the country today. We are privileged to have him in media. We have, after a long time, I have with me today Shailesh Haribhakti. He was my old friend from Mumbai, who is chairman of Shailesh Haribhakti and Associates. Anybody knows in tax, last word there. We have Abhishek Jain, who is the national head of indirect tax at KPMG. So I couldn't have asked for a better panel. Thank you, gentlemen. Very privileged to have you with us. I'm going to make this a session of everything you wanted to ask about GST, but were afraid to ask. So after 5 minutes, I will also open the phone lines. Okay. Sanjeev, straight to the point. This is aimed at kickstarting spending. What's the guarantee that it will? Over the last few months, people have become so cautious about everything. You know, when I meet people in FMCG companies, they say people are not spending anymore. What's the guarantee this will be the stimulus for the consumer?
So Arnab, let me be clear that this is not at the first instance an attempt to kickstart consumption in the economy. As you know, for the first quarter, we actually grew at 7.8%. This is not an economy where you want to pour more spending in there as the first intention. The real intention is a different one. You see, we introduced GST in 2017. When we introduced it, we were focused on doing the transition because we are taking an extremely complicated indirect tax system and moving it to a GST system, a very delicate task. But during the transition, we did something, which was we basically took all the tax rates and shifted them to the nearest bucket that there was. Now, this meant that there was no first principle look at why some item was in some box. So you ended up with anomalies, for example, that cement, which is commonly used for various things, ended up in 28% bracket. Why? Because it just happened to be where it was before. So the net result of that was we did the transition, but with all the pieces of it in somewhat inefficient places. Now, of course, then we had to stabilize it. Then we went through COVID. We then didn't want to disturb the system as we came out of the COVID pandemic. But this is a good time where we can again relook at it and essentially change all the pieces so that they now correlate to the correct level. So now all the food is at the lowest level at 5%. All the other stuff is at 18%. The number of slabs has been reduced. In addition to this, there is something else that has been done, which hasn't got as much attention, which is not to do with the slabs, but the fact that we have also radically simplified all the registration and other process that we had related to GST. One of the problems that happened is that over time, the tax inspector Raj had crept back in and it became difficult to get registration. So now we have got a new system which, at least for 97% of the cases, is going to mean that you will get the registration within 3 days. The refunds and other things will also happen faster. So our main intention is not kickstarting spending. If it happens, great, but really making the whole system much more efficient. Because in the end, the purpose is to get the economic growth going at a high level, at a sustained basis. If that happens, the consumption will also happen. But the real impact is really on having a super efficient tax system for India.
Well, you are right there. But one of the intentions obviously is, and I'd like to take this to Dinesh Kanabar, to counter Trump. Dinesh ji, you were there in our campus recently, the day Uday Kotak was here. And then my question to Uday Kotak, how do we counter Trump, went viral, over 1 million people watching it. Obviously, there's a lot of interest. So to put it simply to you, from where you are, is this a good counter to what America is trying to do? Or is it beyond that? How do you see it?
It is a lot beyond that, Arnab. And first of all, thank you for a generous introduction. And let me just put 2-3 points to you, which Sanjeev has not put, but which makes this even more radical than what one can think of. So when you had multiple rates, there was a huge amount of litigation day in, day out. Am I following in X percentage, Y percentage, or Z percentage? Now you have 3 percentages, and the room for doubt as to whether you are in 5%, 18, or 40 will just go away. And therefore, the litigation which was going on proliferating and blocking all the refunds, etc., will go away, number one. Number two, as Sanjeev mentioned, the provision now is that your inverted duty structure, which put very simply is that your input credits you cannot absorb, and therefore you tend to lose out or gets blocked in refunds, is now taken care of. And you are told that 90% of the refunds you will get straight away. Now just look at this way. You are either an MSME, you are a manufacturer, whatever. Your funds, working capital becoming unlocked and money coming to you. Very, very important. Services sector has been a backbone of India, and a huge litigation going on there on intermediary services. And again, I will not be technical here, but intermediary services were where you were providing services to an exporter, but not exporting it directly. And there was this whole debate as to where was the service rendered. Clarified, no longer taxable. So you are looking at a number of reforms which are so critical, so important, that they are going to sort of take away the drudgery. And then to the point which Sanjeev mentioned, getting registration within 3 days, we are looking at very, very structural reform. There used to be huge litigation that if you sold goods and you gave a discount, is the GST on the principal amount or discount? And you could reduce the discount if you followed a bureaucratic process. Gone. You now have to pay GST on the discounted price. So we are looking at a number of structural changes. Does this address what Trump did? I can tell you, and I can say this from first-hand experience, this exercise started maybe a couple of years ago and has come in at just the right time when we have to address this Trump challenge. So it, of course, is very much going to help there. But to say that this exercise is merely a response to Trump is belittling the exercise. It's a very far-reaching exercise, and I can't help gushing over how government has really approached this entire matter and taken it from the bootstrap rather than just on the periphery.
That's true. You know, I began, in fact, today by saying that the Prime Minister is a very original and different thinker. Having observed him closely for decades now, I can confidently say, and I want to quote you, Shailesh, that the Prime Minister somewhere links social reform with economic reform. It's fundamental, and I also looked at demonetization in that way. He has a lived experience of Indian society, and he sometimes takes it through the necessary jerks to move it in the right direction. My question to you, you are a renowned tax expert, Shailesh ji. Will this pass on to the people? The reason I'm asking you is, suppose there's a clever businessman who said, fantastic, government has reduced GST. I'm not going to change my price immediately. There is nothing forcing me to do anything. Now, that may be someone selling insurance. It may be someone selling khakra. How do we ensure that that people actually benefit? Will it actually happen from September 22nd as we expect? Mr.
I
Haribhakti.
will resoundingly say, Arnab, that it will. Please remember that 75% of India has to still be built. We have to build the Viksit Bharat, which is the Prime Minister's dream. To do that, we need to be kicking on all cylinders for investing in that growth that must happen. So the three deliveries of this fantastic reform that has been done are that the trust has been reinforced. Today, I can say from the view of many, many taxpayers that their trust in the government being fair and their trust in the system being so strong that it will not act unfairly to some and favor others. That trust has been redeemed. Growth will be enhanced, as I mentioned. And very importantly, fiscal rectitude will be preserved because the transition from the cess will now be to what I would like to classify and call a health and green cess, which is what seems to be the intent of the government. Give people health for all. Give people the chance to have a more cleaner way to grow and make sure that the base of tax is broadened and eliminate the distortions which have got into the system. And I double click on what Dinesh said in terms of complete clarity in classification. The rates now leave no doubt in anybody's mind where they will fall and what is the rate. Even the ITC claim has become so clean and clear. The entire process of making sure that the cascading effect of tax will be eliminated has been achieved finally. And I double click on what Sanjeev said, that it's part of the whole process of rethinking and rationalizing and making sure that the rates make sense for our economy.
I know.
So full marks for all of that.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. I welcome also into the panel B. Tyagarajan, the managing director of the famous Blue Star company, member of CII National Council. He will be very happy because he's going to sell all kinds of air conditioning everywhere right now and take the maximum benefit of this. More luck to you, Mr. Tyagarajan. Abhishek and Ajay, I'll just make you wait for a while. I'll put one question to our friend Sanjeev because he has a hard stop in a couple of minutes. Then we'll come across to you. Sanjeev, you are probably the biggest proponent, advocate and executor of process reforms in this country. You believe if you make the process simpler, India will be great. And you've been advocating it, everywhere. Is this one of the biggest process reforms in that sense? Can this be classified essentially under the proviso of process reform for the country? And what impact will it have towards the Viksit Bharat dream?
Absolutely. This is a classic process reform. We did the structural reform of introducing the GST. We then stabilized it, and now we are doing the process reform of getting that system to work a lot more efficiently. I agree with many of the statements made by my fellow panelists that this is really transformative because now we will begin to see the true benefits of this system. We saw quite a lot of benefit even with getting rid of the old complicated system and getting the new one. But let me say that this now creates the foundation for accelerating growth. We now have a very interesting situation right now. Irrespective of what the debate about Trump tariffs, etc. are, we are growing now at the fastest rate of any economy in the world. But very importantly, without inflation. Inflation is at 2%. It's in fact now with all these changes, there's a danger it will actually be too low and fall below the Monetary Policy Committee's target range. There is no external pressure at all. The current account is very well behaved. We've got just recently got an upgrade in our sovereign ratings. The banking sector is in very rude health. So, in fact, irrespective of what happens on an external sector, we are actually in a position to accelerate growth from even here. So, of course, a lot depends on what happens externally, oil prices and so on.
Yeah.
But by and large, we are in a very good position to sustain growth over time. We will cross Germany in about 24 months to become the world's third largest economy, unless something very catastrophic happens.
Yeah.
And then we will be still running faster than China or the US and so on. So we are in a very good position. And of course, this is not the end of it. I can't say what is in the pipeline, but there is more to come as far as reform.
Oh, breaking news. Let's have everyone on. Why should we let Sanjeev Sanyal get away? He's on my show. You see, I've known him for a long time. I'm probably his oldest friend. So he thinks Ajay today, because he was at SRCC when I was at Hindu College. We are old criminals. He thinks he's going to give me a little bit of a breaking news thing and go away. But Ajay, you are also from Hindu College. We'll catch this SRCC boy today. Now, Ajay, this is the problem with these SRCC types. They give a little bit of information, then they want to run away. He's given us a headline. Should he not tell us more, Ajay? He said something right now.
Absolutely. I see it all my time, and Arnab, please hold him back.
Okay, we are holding him back. The nation wants to know from Sanjeev Sanyal, fantastic guy, very permanent member of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, what is coming up? Sanjeev, come on. Come on, Sanjeev.
So we have just announced, just a week ago, we announced two committees headed by former Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gaubaji. And he has been given the task over the next 12 months to radically deregulate large parts of the economy. So please watch out for this one. We have also placed something already in Parliament, which is there, which relates to the Jan Vishwas bill. Not many people have read it, but actually it removes, decriminalizes some 330 odd provisions in 16 different acts. So, I mean, I just wrote about how, for example, something called legal metrology, okay? One of the biggest constraints to doing mid-sized business in this country is this Legal Metrology Act. Not many people know about it, where it's the laws relating to weights, measures, and labels. And it is a major source of corruption and friction in the system. Read the Jan Vishwas bill. We are radically changing it and decriminalizing a whole bunch of provisions.
Well,
then there is going to be a whole other series of measures. As I said, I can't mention many of them, but the Prime Minister, of course, promised this, if you remember, in his Independence Day speech.
Yes.
So do expect a series of fairly serious announcements in various sectors.
Very exciting.
Shipbuilding to
I'm sure,
and many areas.
I'm sure Abhishek Jain of KPMG will agree with me. If I add to that list, you know, as a citizen of this country, and just stay for a while, Sanjay, why don't you bring in a reform where a tax officer who builds a false case to target corporates for whatever reason is held liable? The problem is the Modi government has done a lot of good things, but they removed the clause whereby a tax officer would be held liable for what can be seen to be malicious. I wouldn't call it prosecution, malicious investigation. Am I right? The moment you do that, you will unleash the animal spirits, because no country's economy, Sanjeev, can grow if the wealth creators are constantly living in fear of harassment. So your
co-panelists are very welcome. You are very welcome to come and meet me with a clear list of what they think should be done, and I'm very happy to have a look at it.
This is very important. We will. Won't we, Abhishek, you want to add to that? Because, you know, we must remove this word tax terrorism from our country.
Absolutely.
We must remove it. We must not leave any space for obfuscation. You made things transparent with this reform. But I think there is more transparency required on the tax front. Abhishek Jain, would you like to add to that, please?
Absolutely, Arnab. I think that's a very, very important point that Sanjeev made, where the government is looking at some of these laws which have become redundant, and they come in the way of ease of doing business, right? If some of these laws are done away with, I think it will be a great booster to the economy and ease of doing business. To your point, I think, yes, this GST rate rationalization is a very, very bold reform. It rationalizes the GST rates to 2. The 40 is only for select 6, 7 goods. It does away with a huge lot of litigation that happens on whether goods are at 5%, 12%, 18, which Dinesh Bhai also mentioned. I think
Yes.
it's a huge sort of simplification. Another thing, Arnab, as you rightly mentioned, in some of the legal aspects of GST, there is still a bit of tax uncertainty that is still there on some areas. Of course, the government has done its bit on clarifying the position on or changing the position on discounts and giving benefits that. And even in the last round of GST council meetings, there were several areas of GST where all of them were clarified in favor of the industry. So kudos to the government in being so proactive and clarifying all these issues. There's still, of course, some areas left where there is tax uncertainty. And one of the most important challenges that MNCs face when they're coming and making an investment is this tax uncertainty. If more and more work can be done around that, I think it will be, India, of course, is a great opportunity, the fastest growing economy, a huge domestic market, exports are picking up, lot of production linked incentive schemes, all put together. India is in such a sweet spot that everybody wants to come and invest in India. So if tax uncertainty, which again, as I said, government has done a huge amount of work and great work in sort of simplifying and removing tax uncertainty, but more work can be done in that area. And I think that will really open floodgates of investments in India.
Absolutely. I see a lot of happiness, a lot of confidence. Mr. Tyagarajan, before I come to you, I'll just go to Ajay first. And Sanjeev, we really love you to stay because you're adding so much meat into this conversation. Now, what is the bigger intent? I began by talking about the intent. What is the Prime Minister's game plan, Ajay, from your perspective? I added this aspect of online betting, online gaming. I feel the Prime Minister, the government wants more money and productive resources. Lakhs of crores of rupees go into these, these addictive games. Would you see this as part of, therefore, a bigger agenda towards making our country stronger economically? Ajay.
Yeah, it's very holistic. It's very courageous, Arnab, because even when GST was introduced, the data was there that 95% of governments don't come back when they introduce GST. Within 2 years, they are overthrown. So this government was quite courageous to bring in GST, and it wasn't easy to bring in a GST in a country of our proportions. Second big part, this is structural. What has got done, Arnab, 48,000 crores will be saved by Indians from their consumption basket, which can be consumed elsewhere. This is in the next 6 months. But guess what? This is growing at 10% minimum every year. So next year it will be 52,000 every 6 months goes to. And on an annualized basis, you're talking about 1 lakh crores is going into Indian savings. I'll give you a small example. This morning, Mr. Sodhi, ex-CMD of Amul, was giving the example of Amul. Out of this 48,000 crores, 11,400 crores is the savings Indians are going to make on dairy products, from milk to paneer to cheese to everything, by this saving of bringing the food items to 0 or 5%. This 11,000 crores, he was saying, that the 5% fall in an Amul product leads to a 20% more consumption. That is the kind of multiplier that works in the economy. I spoke to real estate people. I spoke to the biggest, one of the biggest car dealers. What he was saying, he says, you bring on any supply now, after September, I'll show you at that 10% cheaper car rates, I'll show you what we can do. That is the kind of optimism. I was talking to a real estate magnate. He says, I'm saving so much on cement straight away. Paints have gone down. The paint GST has also gone down. Across there, he was talking from affordable housing to premium housing. He was talking about how there will be a multiplier coming in, which will lead to this. One more number I would like to say, what Sanjeev, he was my colleague in Deutsche Bank also, Arnab, so we are old colleagues in that way as well. The inflation goes below 3%. So right now our estimate is just in the next 3 months, 0.25% fall in inflation. If this stays as it is, just on that basis, a 1% fall in inflation is coming. And that kind of a fall in prices, what that leads to in an economy, there'll be better bank credit. NBFCs, today one of the biggest truck financing NBFC says, we were going to grow at 15% next quarter. I'm raising it to 18%.
That's the
I'm giving
point.
you hard facts, Arnab. I'm not giving any
No.
hyperbole.
Ajay, if I may interrupt you here, also because I'm inundated with phone calls. Can I say one thing here tonight with a matter of pride? This panel is so fantastic that my research team told me right now that we are being watched on live streaming 15 times any of the closest competitors on English news. So a little bit of patting ourselves on the back for getting this great panel. The question to Mr. Tyagarajan is, beyond Blue Star, beyond air conditioners, what is the responsibility of corporates? See, the government's doing a lot. But somewhere, the corporates have to step in right now to do something spectacular on their own. What could that be, Mr. Tyagarajan? And by the way, after this answer, lines are being opened. Yes, please, Mr. Tyagarajan. Yeah.
Good evening, Arnab.
Good
it's
evening.
a pleasure being part of this eminent panel with you. The first thing is that I don't look at it as Blue Star. We had discussed in the past how to connect the dots. Sanjeev understands better than anyone else the history as well as the geography. Look at the various steps that has been taken by the Prime Minister and his government and his colleagues like Sanjeev.
Yes.
Make in India mission, digital push, Viksit Bharat 2047 vision, PLI schemes and Make in India, the R&D fund of 1 lakh crore, the component ecosystem that is being created, and most importantly, the sustainability or the net zero mission. So if you look at it, holistically, he is performing like a CEO of a large organization with a long-term focus, with course correction from time to time. And we are proud of the fact that we are being watched globally as an economy, not only growing fast, having maintained the fundamentals, the fiscal discipline or the inflation and the governance. So in this context, to answer specifically to your question, within Blue Star, and I'm sure many consumer durable industries will be looking at it, what we can do to invest more, because the demand opens up in a significant manner for the simple reason, never in the history 10% reduction has happened, and which will be passed on to the consumers 100%. So most important thing is the private sector investment. That is what we should enhance.
We should, yeah.
The second one is the R&D and innovation. That is something which private sector will have to step up, because we are less than 0.65% of the GDP today. We have to move towards 2.5%. That is how we can connect with the global supply chain.
Yep.
And Sailesh here is a great advocate of sustainability. This morning I had stated in many channels that if the prices of the air conditioners are going to come down from rupees 2,500 to rupees 3,500, a 2-star buyer should migrate to a 5-star, or a 3-star buyer has to move to 5-star, and which will bring down significantly the carbon footprint. So two important things, the R&D and innovation, and the private sector capex. These are the things that we should do.
Private sector capex is a beautiful time to get into it, and I think that's what we want to see.
The government has done its bit. It is in our court now to rise to the occasion.
True, absolutely. Just been informed, very happy to share that Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, has agreed to come live. He's fantastic, right? I can't think of a better person than Piyush ji to come in, and he said that he's going to be live with us at 9 o'clock. So this is going to be very, very educative to chat with Piyush Goyal. Callers are being opened up right now. We are going to open up first to a few callers. Ashok Nayak is calling from Mumbai. My request to all the callers to keep it very brief, and then I'll toss the questions. Ashok ji from Mumbai, you have a question for my panel.
Yeah. This is Ashok Nayak from Dahisar, Mumbai.
Sir,
Very big fan of Mr. Arnab
thank you, sir.
and his channel.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm an ex-banker from Syndicate Bank, and we have got a Mediclaim policy.
Okay.
Yeah, we have got a group Mediclaim policy from Canara Bank. It is a family floater policy with my wife. And for the 10 lakhs policy, I've been paying about 60 to 70,000 per year.
Correct, sir.
So now I would like to know whether what will be the tax for GST on that, sir?
Okay. Can I throw that to any of our panelists? Shailesh, would you like to take that? It's a simple enough question. 10 lakh policy, he gives a premium of 60 to 70K. What does he save?
So the next time your premium becomes due and the new GST rate kicks in, you will be surprised to find that your premium will drop off by the entire quantum of the 18% GST that was being levied on you. And that is going to come as a great relief to you.
Wow, that's great. Well, that's great news. Thank you very much for that very clear and simple answer. Anil is calling from Mumbai. Anil?
Yeah. So
Hi.
I have two questions in regard to implementation of GST. These two questions are, number one, 22nd September it is said that the GST will be implemented for all the products and applicable to all of India.
Correct. What's your question?
What happens is the corporates, when you go to the corporates and tell them, even for life-saving drug, for a company like AstraZeneca or Janssen, when you go to them that 22nd, the GST will not be applicable and I'm buying something very expensive, and can you please tell me whether it will be implemented? They say that the company has to issue a notification. They think that a company not within India, how do we ensure the implementation of this from 22nd itself? Number one, I've experienced this.
Can I just take that one question? I have so many callers. I'll allow you one question. And Sanjeev should take that and Dinesh ji should add into that. Sanjeev, it's a genuine concern.
So let me be very clear. The GST Council and the government are the only people who have to put out a notification. Everybody has been given due amount of warning. The company does not have any right to be issuing notifications on how much GST they will pay. It's not their opinion or right to look into this. If the GST has been reduced on whatever item that is, then it has been reduced and it is expected that it will be passed on. It is not for the company to decide how much GST to charge or not charge.
That's very clear. And thanks for that, which means consumers can actually challenge companies that are saying things like this. Niranjan is calling from Mysuru. Niranjan.
Good evening, Arnab, and to the panelists.
Good evening.
I just had one question related to this classification problem that we have seen in GST, like chocolate versus chocolate-coated goods, namkeen versus bhujia, and things like that. I just want to hear your viewpoint on how these reforms are going to address the classification frictions that we come across between businesses and tax authorities.
I'll let Dinesh ji answer that. Dinesh ji is talking about attempted obfuscation by trying to avoid the classification, by trying to, does this, because this was such a detailed, list which came out, does this take care of that?
Absolutely. In fact, I began my conversation with you to say that we are now moving away from multiple buckets to just 3 buckets. All food items goes at one place, all other items go into middle place, and then what is thin goods go whatever. So that entire fight on whether somebody, so it doesn't matter whether your donut is covered with chocolate or is not covered with chocolate. Those classification issues which sometimes one could laugh at will be a history and will not be applicable going forward at all.
Okay, that's very good, sir. So good to hear that. A lot of clarifications tonight. People are appreciating it. I think the questions being asked are very informed. I also feel very happy that viewers are so involved, and viewers need to be more activist in getting. The Prime Minister has planned this for the festive season. So I would say to everyone, Prime Minister said on 15th August, I am going to give you something to celebrate for Diwali. Don't let anyone deny you what the Prime Minister wants to give you. Vijay is calling from Gujarat. Vijay ji.
Good evening, Arnab.
Good evening.
Thank you for such a wonderful panel. Only you can do that, and I'm a big fan of yours.
I'm very privileged. All these great people, they always patronize me and my network.
Thank you. Such a wonderful panel, and I was constantly listening to it. I just have one question. Any of your tax experts can answer this.
Sir.
What if the state government put an extra tax in the name of state government tax? CGST and central government taxes are there, and state government taxes are there. So what if the state government taxes are more, and they will equally try to take more benefit for the state government and not returning it back to the central government?
Then if it's not, then the state government will be thrown out of power if it does it, I think. But Ajay, you want to answer that? Can the state governments try to offset their losses by making life difficult so that the people don't get a feeling that things are getting better under the Modi government? Yes.
They're not allowed to. There are only a certain category of goods where state duties are still there. Otherwise, it's not there, Arnab. So we don't need to worry about it at all.
We don't need to worry about it. One fact I want to put out here, viewers, this is very, very big. And, because, the fact is that a middle-class household saves more than 50,000 a year, but 47% of rural Indian household spending and 40%, 35 to 40% of urban Indian household spending goes into food and essentials. So when you cut there, right, it has a huge impact across the sector. Ayansh is calling from Gurugram. Ayansh.
Namaste, Arnab uncle.
Namaste.
I am a grade 5 student from Gurugram.
Okay.
My question is, has the laptop prices gone down?
Has what prices, Ayansh?
Laptop prices.
Laptop prices gone down. Oh, you want a new laptop, Ayansh.
Yes.
Very good question. Very practical question, Ayansh. You're a practical, smart young man. I'm going to let someone answer that for you, okay, Ayansh? And we'll let Abhishek answer that. He has a big smile on his face. Abhishek, laptop prices, what happens to that?
So, Ayansh, laptops were already at 18% GST and they continue to be at 18%. So, the laptop prices will not go down. These are some of the few products where the rate is still the same as before the announcements came. So, unfortunately, the laptop prices will not go down.
But isn't it amazing here, Abhishek? We have so many people, variety of people from Karnataka, Mumbai, a young boy from Gurugram calling us tonight. Makes us feel so happy. Now, question here for the panel today. And I want to go to Shailesh on this, right? Festive season timing, okay? Festive season timing. Will this amplify the consumption impact? You've been hearing companies say that the people who used to buy a shampoo are buying sachets. Will people get more adventurous or risk averse?
People will spend carefully as they are used to spending. They will be able to spend on more things, so there will be greater consumption. I don't think people are going to become irresponsible and go on a spending spree.
No, they won't.
Ours is a saving-oriented nation, and I think we will continue in that.
One last question I have for Ajay and anyone who wants to take that. Yesterday, I heard a lot of cynicism. You see, journalists are so cynical. Everybody stood up from a pink paper and said, revenue loss, revenue loss, revenue loss, revenue loss, revenue loss. They were all asking the same question. But isn't a lot more going to happen which is going to offset that revenue loss?
Yes, Arnab. Actually, there's a Laffer's curve in economics that we teach that as you cut taxes, the revenues actually go up because the consumption goes up, the compliance goes up. So this is a very holistic reform that has come.
Correct.
It's making ease of compliance. It is leaving more money with the consumers. Arnab, the median rate now, 393 items are at 5%.
Amazing,
so the maximum clustering of items is at 5%.
Is at 5%. I know. So this is, I think, okay, Tyag wants to really come in. Tyag, yes, please, overshooting.
I have done a calculation. As far as air conditioners are concerned, the revenue from GST will go up by at least 10%, despite a 10%
that is the point.
reduction.
So the point being made here, Dinesh, is that eventually economic stimulus will offset all this talk of revenue loss.
Absolutely. And the one very important thing which happened, Sanjeev mentioned about how we are trying to decriminalize things. This is the first time that the government said we are not going to put anti-profiteering because we know that this will be passed on and consumption will kickstart. Absolutely positive.
Thank you. And of course, as the breaking news is today, that Sanjeev Sanyal says there is much more to come. Much more to come, and ye dil mange more. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Viewers, as I said there, that we have Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, who has agreed to be my special guest in a few minutes. So we are going live with him. You can't go anywhere. You'll come back with us, I'm sure.
Time for a quick breather.